I always thought betrayal would come with warning signs, a missed call, a strange scent, a sudden change in routine. But sometimes betrayal wraps itself in the ordinary, hiding in smiles and daily routines, until one day, the mask slips and the truth stares you in the face. For 7 years, I believed I was living a dream. Mark was everything a woman could ask for: kind, funny, supportive, and successful. We met in college, married young, and built a life filled with weekend getaways, shared playlists, and long conversations about growing old together. Every morning, he kissed me before leaving for work. Every night, he came home on time, bringing dinner or flowers, depending on the day. I never doubted him. Not once. Looking back, that was my first mistake, trusting so completely that I stopped noticing the details. It began to unravel one Thursday evening. He was late. Just 20 minutes, not unusual. But he didn't text. That wasn't like him. When he finally walked through the door, he seemed flustered, sweaty. He blamed traffic. I believed him. But a seed of doubt had been planted. 2 weeks later, I was cleaning out our bedroom drawers, looking for a charger. That's when I found it, a second phone, hidden beneath old socks. At first, I thought maybe it was his work phone. But when I powered it on, my world stopped. Messages. Photos. A woman named Lily saved under Lisa work. I miss you, already face-blowing kiss, can't wait to be wrapped up in you again. I stared at the screen, my hands shaking. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst. I felt sick. There was a photo, the two of them in a hotel room mirror. He was smiling, holding her waist, wearing the same watch I had given him for our anniversary. I sat on the bed, staring into nothing. The silence of the room was deafening. It felt like everything around me shattered in slow motion. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. Not then. I just sat there numb, frozen, betrayed. A million thoughts ran through my head. How long had this been going on? Who was she? Did he love her? Did he ever really love me? For the first time in years, I felt like a stranger in my own home. Every picture on the wall, every shared memory suddenly felt counterfeit. Like I had been living inside a movie script while someone else directed the scenes. I wanted answers, but more than that, I wanted to see his face when he realized I knew. So I waited. I didn't touch the phone again. I placed it back exactly as I had found it. That night, he came home with takeout and a smile. "How was your day?" he asked. "Quiet," I said. I cleaned out some drawers. There was a flicker in his eyes. Barely visible, but it was there. Fear. Uncertainty. Guilt? He kissed my cheek. I didn't move. For the next 2 days, I watched him like a hawk. Every word, every gesture, every text. He was still the same, loving, attentive, pretending. And I was an actress too now. Pretending I didn't know. Pretending everything was fine. But inside, I was burning. By Saturday night, I couldn't take it anymore. I waited until we were sitting on the couch. He had just finished telling me about a stressful week at work. The irony was unbearable. I turned to him. "Who is Lily?" He froze. "What are you talking about?" I stood up, walked to the drawer, pulled out the phone and tossed it onto the couch. "I found this. So I'll ask again, who is Lily?" Silence. He stared at the phone like it was a bomb about to detonate. And in a way, it was. "I can explain," he finally said. "Don't," I cut him off. "Don't insult me with lies. Just tell me the truth." "How long?" He rubbed his hands together. His voice was barely a whisper. "A year. A year. 12 months of secrets. 52 weeks of deception. 365 days of lies." Something inside me broke. "A year," I repeated, "while we were planning our anniversary trip. While you held me and told me I was your everything." "I didn't mean to hurt you," he said. But you did. Repeatedly. He tried to reach for me. I stepped back. I loved you, I said. I believed in us. I gave you everything. He didn't answer. There was nothing he could say. I walked out of the room and locked myself in the bathroom. There, finally, the tears came, silent, heavy, endless. I cried for the love I had lost, for the future that would never be, for the woman who had believed in forever. The next morning felt unreal, like waking up in someone else's nightmare. The sun still rose. Birds still chirped outside. The world kept moving, indifferent to the fact that mine had shattered into 1,000 unfixable pieces. He had slept on the couch. Or maybe he hadn't slept at all. I didn't care. I stared at the ceiling, trying to understand how a person I knew so well could become a stranger overnight. When I finally walked into the kitchen, he was there, waiting, dark circles under his eyes, untouched coffee in his hands. I'm sorry, he said again, as if sorry could fix betrayal, as if that word could stitch the holes in my heart. I didn't respond. I couldn't. I didn't want his apologies. I wanted my life back. The one I thought I had. The one he stole. Are you leaving? He asked, voice quiet. I looked at him, this man I had once trusted with everything. No, I said. You are. That was the beginning of the end. He packed a suitcase. I watched in silence, tears pooling in my eyes, but never falling. I had cried enough. My tears were exhausted. He stopped at the door. I still love you, he whispered. I didn't answer. I couldn't even feel hate. Just emptiness. And maybe that was worse. When he left, the silence in the apartment was louder than ever. Every room echoed with memories I no longer trusted. Every object, every photograph felt like a lie. I started cleaning, scrubbing, rearranging, throwing things away. I wasn't sure if I was cleaning the apartment or trying to erase him from it, maybe both. I deleted our photos, unfollowed him on social media, blocked his number. Still, the memories haunted me. His laugh, his scent, the way he used to dance in the kitchen on Sunday mornings. It all kept playing in my mind like a cruel rerun I couldn't turn off. I questioned everything, myself, my worth, my ability to judge character. Had I been naive? Had I missed the signs? Was I not enough? These questions consumed me. They became my shadow, my constant companion in those early days of heartbreak. Friends reached out. Some came over with wine and ice cream. Others just sat in silence with me, offering their presence when words weren't enough. But healing doesn't come in one night. It doesn't arrive with a new haircut or a girl's night out. It's a slow, brutal, messy process. I started journaling, writing down the rage, the grief, the disbelief. Each word was a tiny release, a way to reclaim control. Therapy helped too. Saying things out loud, admitting the pain, the shame, the humiliation, gave it less power over me. Little by little, I began to return to myself. The woman I was before him. Or maybe someone entirely new. Someone stronger. Healing is not linear. Some mornings I felt okay, even hopeful. Other days, I couldn't get out of bed. Grief came in waves, and I had to learn to ride each one without drowning. I stopped blaming myself. That was the hardest part. I used to think if I had been prettier, funnier, more exciting, maybe he wouldn't have cheated. But no, his betrayal was not about me. It was about him, his insecurities, his selfishness, his cowardice. Once I accepted that, the shame started to fade. I began to reclaim my space. I bought new bed sheets, moved the furniture around, got rid of anything that held a trace of him. Even small things like his coffee mug or that hideous shirt he loved had to go. Every act of letting go felt like a declaration. This is my life now. My home. My peace. I started doing things I hadn't done in years. I signed up for a pottery class. I went on solo walks without checking my phone every 5 minutes. I took myself out to dinner. Alone. The first time I sat alone at a restaurant, I was terrified. Everyone around me seemed paired up lovers, friends, families. And there I was. Just me. But I didn't leave. I ordered wine. I read a book. I smiled at strangers. I survived it. And the next time, it felt less lonely. More empowering. People asked if I hated him. Honestly, I didn't know. There were moments I wanted to scream at him, humiliate him the way he humiliated me. But mostly, I just wanted distance. Freedom. And then, one evening, he called. I had blocked him, but he found a way through another number. My heart jumped when I saw the unknown caller ID, and for a split second, I considered ignoring it. But I answered. He sounded tired. Older. Sad. I think about you every day, he said. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I needed you to hear me say that I'm sorry. I stayed silent. I miss you, he added. That's when I realized something important. I didn't miss him. Not anymore. I missed the idea of him, the version I had loved, the man who never truly existed the way I imagined. So I told him calmly, I hope you find what you're looking for. But I'm not it anymore. He didn't beg. He didn't cry. He just said goodbye. And it felt final. I exhaled deeply, as if I had been holding my breath for a year. That night, I slept peacefully, truly, deeply, for the first time in months. Not because I had forgotten what happened, but because I had finally made peace with it. It's strange how silence can become a sanctuary. In the months that followed our last conversation, I found myself craving solitude, not out of sadness, but out of clarity. I had spent so much of my life trying to be the right woman for someone else. Now, for the first time, I was simply trying to be right for myself. I stopped checking his social media. I no longer cared what he was doing or who he was with. The weight he had placed on my heart was finally gone, and in its place was a quiet confidence, the kind that comes not from being loved by another, but from loving yourself enough to walk away. I began to look at myself differently in the mirror. Not through the lens of someone's partner or someone's almost forever, but as a whole, complicated, beautiful woman. One who had survived the collapse of her world and learned how to build a new one from the wreckage. I changed my routines. Woke up earlier. Went to bed later, but with books, candles, and peace instead of anxiety. I started writing poetry again. The words flowed like a river I had dammed for years. I didn't write about him anymore. I wrote about resilience, about rediscovering joy, about the beauty of being alone, not as punishment, but as possibility. I took a trip by myself. Just me, a small suitcase, and no plans. I walked through unfamiliar streets, tried food I couldn't pronounce, and took photos of strangers smiling. I laughed out loud in a foreign cafe when I spilled coffee all over myself. And I didn't feel embarrassed. I felt alive. People noticed the change in me. Friends said I looked lighter, brighter, stronger. You're glowing, one of them said. I was, but not because of anyone else. I was glowing because I had stopped searching for love outside of me and started nurturing the one within. I even dated again, slowly, carefully. Not to fill a void, but because I finally knew my worth. I didn't tolerate red flags. I didn't make excuses. And when something didn't feel right, I walked away without guilt. I was no longer afraid of being alone. I was afraid of betraying myself again. One night, I met a woman at a bookstore. She was crying quietly in the self-help aisle. I didn't know her story, but I saw the pain in her eyes, pain I once knew intimately. I handed her a tissue and said, "Whatever you're going through, I promise it won't break you." She looked up. "How do you know?" I smiled. Because I thought I was broken too. But I wasn't. I was just becoming someone new. And that's the truth. Betrayal didn't ruin me. It woke me up. The thing about betrayal is that it teaches you two things: who someone really is and who you really are without them. I used to think love was about holding on, fighting, forgiving over and over. But now I know, real love never asks you to abandon yourself to keep it alive. Real love, the kind I found in myself, is quiet, firm, and whole. It doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It doesn't break you to keep itself breathing. A year after I discovered the truth, I no longer measured my days in heartache. I laughed more than I cried. I looked forward instead of back. And when his name occasionally surfaced in my mind, it carried no weight. Just a distant memory of who I once was. I forgave him. Not because he deserved it, but because I did. I forgave myself, too, for not seeing the signs, for staying too long, for believing a lie. I let go of the guilt, the self-blame, the regret. Those things had no place in the life I was creating. I surrounded myself with people who poured love into me without condition. I rebuilt my boundaries. I chose joy not as an escape, but as a decision I made each day, even on the hard ones. And then, something beautiful happened. I stopped looking for a storybook ending. I stopped needing validation from another person to feel whole. I stopped waiting for someone to choose me because I had already chosen myself. There's a different kind of power in that. A quiet, radical strength in knowing you are enough. I don't tell this story because I want sympathy. I tell it because someone, somewhere, is sitting in her bathroom right now, sobbing over a truth she just discovered. She thinks her life is over. She thinks she's been destroyed. But she hasn't. She's been awakened. And one day, she'll rise from the ashes not as the woman she was before, but as someone far stronger, wiser, and more radiant than she ever imagined. This story didn't end the way I thought it would. It wasn't a fairy tale. It didn't have a perfect resolution. But it was real. And sometimes, real is better than perfect. Because in the cracks of what broke me, I found the light that rebuilt me. So to anyone listening, standing at the edge of heartbreak, wondering how to go on, know this. You will. You'll survive. You'll thrive. And one day, you'll thank the pain for setting you free. It was a rainy Tuesday when I met him. Nothing dramatic. No lightning bolt. No slow-motion moment from a romance film. Just a casual bump in a bookstore aisle again. This time, I wasn't the one holding back tears. I was simply searching for a book on travel photography, something to inspire my next solo trip. He was reaching for the same book. We laughed. That easy, unforced kind of laugh that happens when two strangers accidentally grab the same thing. You first, I said, stepping back. No, you go ahead, he replied. I already own it. I just wanted to see if they've updated the edition. He had warm eyes. The kind that looked at you, not through you. A gentle smile. And he didn't rush to ask my name or flirt. We talked. About photography. About rainy days. About how bookstores are the last sacred spaces in a loud world. It wasn't romantic. Not at first. It was something else, comforting. He introduced himself as Daniel. We parted without exchanging numbers. Just a shared smile and a maybe I'll see you around. I didn't think about him again until a week later, when I saw him again at a local cafe, sitting by the window with a book and a black coffee. He remembered me. Invited me to sit. We talked for 2 hours. No pressure. No expectations. Just two people with old wounds and open minds. Over the next few weeks, we met by accident again and again, or maybe the universe was nudging us. I don't know. I stopped believing in fate for a long time, but something about this felt gentle, honest. He told me about his past. A broken engagement. A betrayal of his own. He didn't dramatize it or use it as a weapon. It was just part of his story, the way mine was part of me. For the first time, I didn't feel like I had to explain my pain. He didn't try to fix it. He just listened. And slowly, quietly, I let my guard down. We went for walks in the park. We shared music. He taught me how to use a film camera. I taught him how to cook something beyond instant noodles. It wasn't fireworks. It was a slow-burning warmth. A sunrise, not an explosion. I was still me, independent, whole, not searching. And he wasn't trying to complete me. He just wanted to walk beside me. One evening, as we watched the city lights from a rooftop, he turned to me and said, "You feel like peace." I didn't say anything. I just smiled. Because I knew what he meant. He wasn't filling a void. He was meeting me in a space I had already built for myself. We're still getting to know each other. There's no label, no race toward forever. Just presence. Respect. Curiosity. And maybe that's love too, not the kind that sweeps you off your feet, but the kind that holds your hand and walks with you at your pace. I don't know what the future holds. I'm not looking for a fairy tale anymore. I'm looking for real. And in this chapter of my life, real is enough. I still carry my past, the betrayal, the pain, the lessons. But I no longer carry the weight. I've turned the heaviness into something useful. Something softer. Maybe that's what healing really is. Learning to live without flinching when someone says, "I love you." Learning to trust again, not because you forgot what happened, but because you finally believe you deserve more. So yes, betrayal broke me, but it also built me. And now I walk with strength in my bones, softness in my heart, and eyes that see clearly. This isn't a story about him. It's a story about me coming home to myself.